Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Time to speak to the professor of the universe. Jim George is in the studio from American Cable Services. I always forget your company, American Cable Services. And so we're going to talk to Jim about technology and about waveforms and about capturing space junk and everything else out there. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning. Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
How's the job going downtown? Is it done?
Well, yeah, the Marion County Network Operations Center is done. And now I'm working on Wild Frontier, putting in 222
That's the big one.
Sites. Yes.
Yeah.
That's the one that's killing me.
Yeah.
It is hot
you're
out
getting
there.
a huge tan. I mean, your tan is so amazing.
Oh, the tan. Yep, I'm burning up.
Do you have the bikini line?
No.
You don't have the bikini?
I keep my shirt on.
The farmer's tan, then. That's what they call it, the farmer's tan.
Farmer's tan. That's what I got.
Well, Larry says it should be cooler tomorrow because tomorrow is going to be the first day of fall.
Well, we're hoping to get done with, by next week. The deadline was the 28th, and I'm trying to meet it, but I don't know if I can or not.
Well, Sunday is the first full day of fall. Tomorrow, there's only 2 hours of fall.
Oh, okay.
So if you're going to fall tomorrow.
10 till midnight tomorrow that's it. That's fall.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll have to keep that in mind.
And then it starts the whole thing. Do you guys decorate for the holidays?
For Christmas we do, but not for Thanksgiving.
You don't do the orange and black and yellows and all that stuff?
No, there's too much to do. But my wife does like to decorate for Christmas.
I was curious about you. In your younger days, were you into like 8mm movies and that kind of thing?
Not really. No. I was the kind of guy who took things apart, but very seldom put them back together. If I had a friend like Jim Pence, I'd just turn them over to him and say,
Did it help prepare you for what you do now? Like when you were taking things apart?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I was curious about it. I took everything apart. TVs, radios, everything.
Isn't it amazing how hard it is to figure out how something is held together? Maybe not for you, but like when I look at a phone or anything, I'll say, well, where's the screws? There's no screws. Right. Like a car. Yeah. What's holding the fender on? I don't know. Can't tell.
It's difficult, very difficult. Yeah, I have a battery powered razor that I use every so often. Not often enough, as you can tell. But I took it apart because the batteries were getting low. I wouldn't charge anymore.
Uh-huh.
Put the new rechargeable batteries in, and I can't get that thing back together again the same.
Oh no.
What a challenge.
Because when it came apart in little sections where this part slid forward and then up and then back and I didn't remember the sequence. So although I have all the parts and they all fit together, which one slides forward to the one that can slide backwards? And
how effective is the electric razor? Does that actually work?
Yes.
Yeah.
For me, it does.
Well, you know what you do? You give that to your 2-year-old grandchild, have it together, and
there you
snap.
Go. There you
they
go.
do. Those children are amazing.
Unbelievable.
They are. They're absolutely amazing. And that's one of the things that you really inspire other people when you talk about doing all that wiring and electronics and things. You inspire the students of today to go into that direction for a career if they have that hankering to do that.
Marion Technical Institute, you talked to the principal this morning and such. What a beautiful program that is. That's the old diversified cooperative training, DCT, that they used to have years ago, where you go like a half a day for English and that type of thing, and then you go another half a day for hands-on.
Yeah.
But a student can graduate from Marion Technical Institute and go right to work for Ocala Electric Utilities or Duke Energy. They know all about power and everything. They take another class takes computers apart, knows software, knows how to program computers, take viruses off. They have the culinary school. I mean, you think about it. You go to a school like that, and you come out, you're prepared for life. But if you go to a normal school, then you're probably going to just go on to college.
Have you ever thought about teaching?
I have taught in the past.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. And I was a mentor at Marion Technical for like
wonderful.
3 years.
Oh, wow.
I came in once a week and talked about what we physically do out there, and then taught them the different wire schemes and that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So they would get the book training, and I come in and do the hands-on training.
Have the wire schemes changed over the past decades to accommodate the new technology?
Yeah, well, on the high-speed internet they still have the basic colors, the blue, white, green, white, the wires, so you can identify them.
Mm-hmm.
But the wires themselves have gotten a bit larger. The coating on them has gotten better so that there's less loss and actually smaller, even though the wire itself has gotten larger.
Oh.
The coating on the outside has gotten thinner. So the wires themselves are actually smaller. If you look at them, you would think this would be an old one because it's so small in diameter, but it's actually the newer one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did I tell you about my worthless measuring app?
No.
Okay, I have a new app on my phone, and I didn't even ask for it. Apple upgraded this thing, and so I got this app, and this app says I can push this button. I'm going to show it to you, and I can measure things. So there's what you see. It's showing the wall.
Right.
Okay. Now it says I can push a button, and then measure the length of the table. Okay. So let me do that. So there, I have it on the edge. I push the button. And I'm going to drag the line all the way to the other end of the table and then push the button again. Now, this is why I say it's stupid. It says from here to the other end of the table is 5 feet 1 inch. What?
I'm 5 feet 6 inches.
What? You must be really tall, Robin. You're tall.
Is it saying 5 feet or 5 meters?
Hold on. I'm going to show it to you. Here. Just look at it. You'll see. Just take that and aim it until you see the line going across the table, and you'll see where it says 5. Do you see it?
No, but it doesn't mean it's not there.
Well, just keep moving until you see the table.
Oh, I see. 5 feet. Yep, there it is. It's 5 in it. So it's in feet as compared to meters. If it said 5 meters, I would be more prone to say yes.
Oh my God!
But it says 5 feet,
Yeah.
and this table has got to be 14 feet long.
So let me see how tall you are from the top of your head to the bottom to your hands. To your hands. Okay, the top of your head to your hands. Okay. 12 feet.
Yeah.
Wow.
There you go. Wow.
You are a tall man.
So that is a worthless.
Holy mackerel.
You might want to get a hold of Apple and say, you better calibrate this.
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's just crazy. So, but it was a free, it just came with
Something free. Why not?
Yeah.
It's free and useless.
Free and useless.
Have you ever been asked to develop apps, or have people asked you to give your input on an app?
There's a lot of money in apps. I tell you the truth, people make a lot of money in apps. But we actually, one of my partners, one of my companies, his son is an app writer in New York.
Really?
And he spends millions of dollars a year just on his apartment. You know how expensive apartments are
Yeah.
downtown, and he can't spend his money fast enough writing apps.
Wow.
Well, I got an idea for an app. Maybe you can help me develop it.
For a nap or a nap?
And no, you're on target. It's called the Nap app.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. It's an app that tells you it's time to take a nap.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
You're getting grumpy and you need a nap.
Uh-huh.
You know how you get hangry? You're hungry,
Yeah,
but you're
right.
kind of getting grumpy,
Mm-hmm.
angry. Well, that happens when you get tired too, right?
Yeah,
you get
yeah.
grumpy.
Mhm.
Does that happen to you?
So you speak into the cell phone and it identifies the fact that you're.
No, it's supposed to like measure my blood pressure and all
Oh.
that, and say, you know what, you're getting grumpy. Why don't you take a nap?
Oh,
Wow.
that's a good idea.
And then I can say to Joe, I say, hey, I got to take a nap. My phone's telling me so.
Yeah, that's going to work.
When you do all of your traveling and everything to get all your materials and things, is there ever any time that they'll deliver it to you so you don't have to be off site so long?
Yeah, they will deliver. It's just that they'll deliver at their speed. Could be 3:00 in the afternoon when I need it in the
Oh.
morning,
Oh,
or it may come in sections. In other words, they'll deliver half today and half tomorrow.
oh,
When I go into a place, I usually, if they don't have it all, I'll move on to a place that does have it all, so I can do the whole job
Mhm.
and not have to stretch it out. So it's really easier for me. Plus, I'm a hands-on guy. I don't know how people can actually shop online.
yeah.
That always amazes me. And yet they return so much. I mean, my oldest daughter used to shop online a lot, and she would get dresses in and shoes in, and she would just turn right around and send them back. No, they don't fit, or no, the color that you saw online wasn't the color she thought. When
Oh,
she,
wow.
and all that expense. Like, how can you save any money? but they elsewhere they save money by shopping online.
Yeah, I can't do that because the clothes for me, one cut doesn't fit me the whole time. One size shoe doesn't fit me the whole time.
Right.
So I can't do that. And I love going to the store doing that.
Yeah. So use it as an outing, if nothing else, to get out of the house and go get something done.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
So how did the areas in North Carolina that you work at or have family at, how did that fare through
They were pretty high up. They were in Boone, North Carolina, and Boone was kind of far from the coast. It wasn't like being in Raleigh or Durham. So they did well. They said this, a couple of limbs down here and there, a lot of water in the valley, but not where they were. Well, but man, there were major roads closed in North Carolina. My goodness.
When we talk about the storms here and we say we should put the wires from the utility poles underground.
Yes.
And then you see all that flooding that happened up there. Does that flooding create as much of a problem for the underground cables as the wind does for the above ground cables?
It would. It's difficult to have a transformer, let's say, that is totally isolated from water. You've seen the transformers on the poles,
right?
And rain and wind hits them all the time. It has no effect. But when a transformer is underground and it's flooded and you're near that transformer,
that sounds bad.
You can feel the razzmatazz. When I'm looking for
the electricity.
Yeah, you can actually feel it. So
you're getting shocked.
What they would do though, in the case of flooding, they would just turn it off. Everything right now is by sensors, and it would just turn itself off. And then when it dried up, it would turn itself back on. But you wouldn't have the down telephone lines. You wouldn't have the down power lines. You wouldn't have, everything would be.
So it would be better either way, as long as
it would always be better underground.
What exactly happens when you hear one of those explosions or one of those power boxes? Like in my neighborhood, sometimes I'll hear, it sounds like somebody set off a bomb. The next thing I know, part of the neighborhood is out of electricity, and here come the guys from the electric company with the yellow trucks. What exactly explodes?
Well, there's coils of wire in there. And the coils of wire are separated by sometimes you might just say thin paper, but the paper is a very special treated paper. And there's transformer oil in there. Those coils are sitting in a tank. Those coils are sitting in a tank of oil.
Really?
Yeah. And when I was a young kid and I made my own Tesla coil, I would just go over to the power company and say, if you have any blown transformers, could I get some transformer oil from you? And they would give it to me. And then like a little fish aquarium, when you put in the layers of glass and foil and glass and foil, that makes up a transformer. In other words, an electrode, an insulator, electrode and insulator. You stack them up. Then I just cover it with transformer oil, and that kept it cool, and that helped with the conductivity from each layer. So that's full of oil. So when they go, you don't see the can necessarily explode. You see the top of the lid coming off with all those ceramics are blowing up.
So that's what explodes. It's like a bomb.
That canister is very thick. People could call in who do power work, and I know they listen to us. That is a very thick can. They're trying to contain it.
Oh my!
So underground would be the same situation, only it would be designed a little differently. It would be self-contained, but still, at the first hint of reaching a certain level of water, that thing would turn itself off. As soon as the water went down, it turned it back on.
Now you wired that whole. You had a whole school up there in the Carolinas that you wired and did a project for. Did they get affected at all? Where you have to go back?
That was the Appalachian State University. That's up in Boone. Although they were in the lower part of Boone, they're still so far inland that didn't affect them.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I keep there's a TV channel in Boone. I think it's channel 18, and we actually carry that on one of our cable channels here. So I carry channel 18, Boone, North Carolina.
And then what happens since you've got the palm in here?
Ocala palms.
Yeah, Ocala palms. When we have hurricanes that come through, and they're predicted to come through our area, do you go there and do any special pre-hurricane maintenance on anything?
No, just the opposite. I almost have to wait for something to happen. But Ocala Palms is fed on the one side by SECO and on the other side by OEU. So there's two power companies.
Oh.
So we'll have people call, say, I have no TV, I have no internet. And we'll say, but do you have electricity? Yeah. Okay, then we know exactly where they're at. But the fact that they have no internet or TV shows that the head end itself, the building that we have our equipment in, has no power.
Oh.
And we do have generators, but by the time we run out there with a generator, power has been restored. So during the hurricane where it went out once, we had it running for like 8 days continuously.
On a generator.
On a generator.
Wow.
And Jim, it looks like you have a phone call.
All right.
Good morning. Thank you for calling. You're on the air with Jim George.
Yes, good morning, everybody. We bought a new microwave here last week, and we had the old one for almost 12 years, and the new one is there's quite a lot of difference, and it's really changing in a lot of different ways. But it's interesting for me. Like we like a lot of microwave popcorn, for an example. And it's got a popcorn setting on it, like a baked potato or a beverage setting. So you put this bag of popcorn in there, and you press popcorn. And sometimes it's an individual bag, which are smaller, or it's a bigger bag, but it knows when to pop it and when to stop. How does it know that?
Well, so is it only one button?
Yes.
No, it doesn't say an
popcorn.
8-ounce bag or a 10-ounce bag. It just says popcorn.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's two different sizes, and
Okay.
it pops each size perfect.
Well, based on the emission itself, well, there's 2,500 Rakins or higher or lower. Some, like we have a microwave that's 4,500, and we do popcorn in like a minute and a half. But normally, our microwave took 3.5 minutes exactly to do popcorn.
Yeah.
So it has
But
it's basically on time, because it knows
Yeah.
that moisture that's inside that kernel, it's
Yeah.
getting hot and it's expanding, and once it reaches that certain temperature, it's going to blow, and that's your popcorn.
Well, is there like a sensor in there that distinguishes that?
No, it's strictly time. Regardless, if you even put a glass of water in there and hit popcorn and use your stopwatch, you would see it's either a minute and a half, or I think it's 3 minutes and a half. That's depending on the amount of energy that microwave emits.
Yeah, because I know there is a beverage setting, and I put to make coffee. I put it in there, and it turns out perfect. You know, like it knows when to stop.
Yeah, that's roughly for ours. That's 45 seconds exactly.
Yeah. Do the newer microwaves last as long as the older ones? Like we had the old one was almost 12 years old.
Yeah, they should. They should. That cholesterol in there, yep, they'll last.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, it's I do most of the cooking around here, and it's a godsend. I'm telling you. Yeah, when we were out of it, when we broke the old one, and we had to wait to get the new one, I really missed it, because
Right.
there's so many things you use it for, and you get so used to cooking with a microwave that you almost don't need a stove anymore.
Yep, that's true. Especially if you get one that has the what I'm looking for is not convection. That's it, convection.
Yeah.
We have
Yeah.
a convection one.
Do microwaves use a lot of electricity?
They do. I meant to bring something in for Larry, and I forgot, sitting right on my desk, but I'll bring it in next week's for sure. It shows how much electricity each appliance uses.
Oh.
And that way you can tell at a glance. The one device you have in your home that uses the most electricity is your set-top converter box for your TV.
Really?
That's your power-hungry device. So to save money, you can always unplug it when you're not watching TV. The problem with that, now when you plug it in, it's got to reboot up. It's got to go out and get its connection. It's got to go, So that's why people leave them plugged in 24 hours a day, and they are power hungry.
Boy, it's hard to believe a little box like that uses that much electricity.
Exactly. That's why the over-the-top network, the little small boxes that are 4-inch, like little Roku, 4-inch by 4-inch by 1-inch. That's why they're so popular. They use milliamps, literally nothing.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Yep.
So we don't have to worry about them like setting themselves on fire, those boxes?
They do catch on fire periodically, but they're so few and far between, you never hear about them.
Oh.
It might be one a year in the whole United States or something.
Uh-huh.
They get hot.
The one that Robin has, there was two ways to power it. One with a power thing in the wall,
Yep.
and the other one was just a UCB thing, USB on the back of the TV. So I'm assuming that one at the back of the TV is less likely to catch on fire because
Yes.
it's not plugged into a
Right,
wall,
right.
right? Yeah.
But it would still make current go through the TV in order to feed it, but it would not have that big hefty transformer that your device has. When you plug it into the wall, you only see a cord.
Yeah.
But inside the box is a fairly hefty transformer. When you go from USB to USB, you're not using that AC cord.
Mhm.
Then you've already reduced the 120 volts down to like 5.5 volts
Oh
or
my.
down to 12 volts, whatever it is. And it's usually DC.
Mhm.
I have another phone call. Good morning. You're on the air with Jim.
Good morning, Jim, Larry, Robin. I worked for a utility for over 30 years, and I say that more often than not, the transformers, they have what they call a sealed network protector. And other than that, those things were underground, underwater, everything. And the only time they got pumped out or whatever, it was if they were needed to have maintenance or they blew up or something. But a lot of the times, even the manholes, I can remember working on Willows Point Boulevard up in New York by Flushing near Northern Boulevard, pumped the manhole out to go down there because it was full of water. That had fish down there.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Wow.
you know, electricity and water doesn't mix, but if you have it insulated and the right kind of cable and you do the job right, it works. Electricity will work.
Yep.
But it's absolutely amazing. I'm still amazed when you talked about it. I remember, you know, having to do a job where you had grounds, and the ground was built into the primary side of the transformer. And you had to go and swing the lever either to remove the ground or replace the ground. And had unwatered the transformer manhole.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it's weird. But when they take off, it's quite spectacular.
Yes.
Anyway, have a great
Oh,
weekend.
thank you.
Thank you,
You
Sonny.
too.
So this is a weird question, but it just came to mind. What did we call the electric eel before the invention of electricity? What did we call it? I mean, just this crazy eel? Just
Well, I
a
don't,
magic eel?
it may have had a name that was native to the place where the eel was. In other words, the Indians of Ecuador or
yeah,
whatever
yeah.
may have had a name for it.
Mhm.
And when we discovered electricity became a name, let's say, someone said, well, that's an electric eel there. But it had a scientific notation name, genus and species.
That's funny, Jim. You got to watch the replay of that. All right.
How you doing?
Now that's an electric eel there.
Yeah.
That's a great line.
Yeah.
All right. So if you have any questions about your TVs, your computers, your technology, your gadgets, you can call Jim or his guys. They might be able to talk you through it or walk you through it. What's your number?
352-854-9795.
All right. American Cable Services.
Thank you.
That's an electric eel there. We'll be right back.
Friends, countrymen, tourists, and Ocalans, lend me your ears. Hey, speaking of ears, there is an opportunity for you to help feed and provide good maintenance, housing, and medical care for Marion County's rescued big